It's a difficult decision he is faced with now, and it looks like our next map will be Himeyama here as we wait for our picks to come through. What do you expect to see here from either side?
We see the Malians coming in here. I wonder what the second civ would be, the Abbasid. Very, very interesting. Kiljardi coming in with a more favorable matchup, but on a map where it can be a little bit difficult to defend. So we will see potentially a mid-game that can favor the Malians, but an early game and late game that can favor the Abbasid. Himeyama is very, very unique because you can do a dock opener on the mid pond, get those four fishing ponds, the 2,000 food. But you have the problem of the wood lines. If you allow your opponents to get their castle timing with the Malians, they have the sofas coming out, incredibly strong cavalry units that he could just run around the back line. The wood will be the biggest issue for him.
Yes, very good points there, Voldemar. As you mentioned, the pond in the center could prove to be crucial here, especially for Kiljardi, most likely. Of course, having half-price docks is a bonus that can't be scoffed at here for Kiljardi's Abbasid, so he may look to opt for that. But as you mentioned yourself, Himeyama is quite a unique map in its layout. Very small wood lines initially for you to start with, and the larger wood lines are quite far away from your starting base. But more notably even is the food, right? The food is often more centric and sideways towards the map. Very rarely do you have safe food behind your base here on this map, and for Abbasids who essentially have to play 2 TC in this kind of a matchup, most likely it might prove difficult to hold if Kiljardi, if DeMu, decides to be very aggressive in Fudo, which is something we have seen from the Malians in the past. You know, most people expect a safe, you know, reserved cow boom in the back as quick as possible and only then a castle timing, but with the javelins, especially in feudal age, being so resilient against archer fire, it could be quite difficult for Kiljardi to hold on this kind of a map if DeMu does decide to press his lead.
Absolutely. And I do think Kiljardi realizes that this is going to be one of those maps with a lot of food in the middle. Maybe he will choose to take a more aggressive route in this one. We see a very, very interesting spawn here for DeMu on the Malians, spawning on the left side here in the color purple, having that pit mine in the back, and a second gold as well. But Kiljardi opening up with the dock here. The dock play going to grant him some extra food and perhaps that eco boost that he needs to get that punching power in the feudal age.
Absolutely, and I do like this dock opening here from Kiljardi, right? No matter the type of playstyle he likes to go for, I do believe this is the right choice here, right? As we mentioned, as you can see here, just on the map layout as well, both of the deer packs for Kiljardi are very far forward, right? These are difficult positions to hold. Berries as well. There is one far back berry patch for Kiljardi that is safe, so that it will be nice for him. But, you know, Kiljardi is a player that we have seen be extremely aggressive in pretty much most of his matches in his career so far, right? So, you know, I wouldn't be completely surprised if he uses this food boost from the center of the map's fish to fuel a 1 TC aggression play onto the Malians potentially, at least initially.
Absolutely, and that is what the Abbasid dynasty is super strong at early. They're able to build those rams at the get-go with the military wing units. And I do believe we will see that later on because that is probably the hardest play for the Malians to deal with. Albeit it will be delayed because of the dock opener, the ram will still be tough to deal with. The problem for Kiljardi is the gold have spawned on the backside, and so he might look to play a little bit more of an economic game here. We have a pretty good trade post for Kiljardi on the bottom side. Could potentially look to open up with markets as well and cover that with the aggression giving, and then with the impression that he is going to be pressured in the feudal age. I think that might be a very good play here, but knowing Kiljardi, I think we're going to see something a little bit different.
Yeah, straight here on this map with that kind of a relatively safe post could be an interesting curveball thrown in by Kiljardi. It is not his preferred playstyle, as you mentioned yourself, Voldemar, but having faced this matchup myself against Kiljardi, with myself on the Malian side, it is very common for Kiljardi to open with that military wing and go without any hesitation into a stable and a ram initially for the Malians. Now, I believe this is a very powerful play for Abbasid in this matchup. And one of the reasons that I think Abbasid is so favored, right? Because the reality is, due to the slightly delayed age up that Malians typically have, which in turn will be delayed here for Kiljardi, getting out enough units to deal with the military wing units as well as the horsemen that Kiljardi might opt to go for, and the ram is so difficult at the start. But with the dock opener, that will most likely be something that is delayed, so DeMu will have a window to get himself set up properly before that occurs.
Absolutely. Coming in with 3 fishing ships here on the middle pond is going to be enough to keep the fish coming in for a longer period of time, not opting for 4 or 5 fishing boats. Now DeMu opening up with the mill, going into a very quick wheelbarrow. Might mean that he's going to play a little bit more aggressive here, prioritizing eco upgrades very early and not the cows.
Yes, I do think most commonly we see a second pit mine being set up before a large cow boom begins to occur. Wheelbarrow on the way, like you mentioned, a very useful upgrade here early on, and with the passive income that Malians have access to all throughout the Dark Age and the Feudal Age and so later. Getting that wheelbarrow doesn't hurt them too much at all, as we don't see the second pit mine just being prioritized by DeMu yet. Culture Wing, actually, on the way for Kiljardi here on the Abbasids. What do you think of this, Voldemar?
Culturing is a very, very interesting approach. It's something we often see when people want to try to go for a very fast tech up, going for the fast castle. But culturing could also mean that he wants to go for a lot of upgrades early and try to capitalize off an upgrade advantage with an early fight. I'm not quite sure what the approach is going to be here. Kiljardi does know about the pit mine placements and the wood being in the back. Gold is in the back. Really, really good spawn for DeMu, so maybe he's looking for a longer game, maybe relic play.
Potentially, yes. This could be quite interesting here from Kiljardi. We have seen this a few times in the past where Abbasid players do like to go for a very quick age up using the Culture Wing in Feudal Age and then later Military Wing in the Castle Age for them. And this way they can actually hit a relatively fast castle timing that often takes some Malian players off guard. Was there away cow booming? Although, of course, Malians themselves have a very powerful castle timing, it is often quite a bit delayed compared to your standard castle rush. But instead of that, we see plenty of production here dropped for Kiljardi.
Absolutely. We see the technology to get a little bit of a reduction on the gold count. In general, going to be easier for him to go for the upgrades when he's also trying to open up with aggression. Now, granted, the archer range and the stable here are out at 6 minutes, and that means that DeMu has had enough time to set up the second pit mine and get a couple of these eco upgrades going as well. It's going to be very comfortable for him to defend here, and so I'm not quite sure where Kiljardi will take this. We see Kiljardi often going for these temple plays, where he will try to build up a Feudal Age aggression, and that Feudal Age aggression will try to force a reaction from his opponent, and then ultimately he will double down on the tech up and then take the fight.
Yes, Blacksmith also on the way already here for Kiljardi, and this tells us all we need to know, don't we? He's going to use this extra food income that he has from the center pond to fuel what is likely to be a relentless all-in here from Kiljardi. A little bit surprised to see the Culture Wing coming in for this type of play instead of the Military Wing, right? Access to those 2 free spearmen and archers is certainly a nice little injection to your army numbers early, combined with the bootcamp upgrade later on once you get it, allows for your spears or mainly archers as well to certainly survive longer in these fights, which is most notable against the javelin throwers that DeMu is likely to prioritize on the defense.
Yeah, I do think it's an interesting thought, not going for the military wing and getting these early units, because with such a long distance to the back of DeMu's base, an early archer range can do wonders against that, and then it's going to be very tough to get set up. Now, Kiljardi, I wonder what his victory condition really is here, because right now he doesn't have a second TC, he does not have a trade, he does have the middle fish, and that is granting him way more food than DeMu is getting at the moment. DeMu relying on the cows. We only see 1 mill, and that means that we will have a reduced amount of cows and maybe a focus on the defense here. And that will be necessary going up against Kiljardi's early horsemen and archers. The javelins, a little bit more of an expensive unit, but they have that punch. They have a very high base damage, and that can be very favorable here. Losing out on 1 villager. Really good poke there from Kiljardi. Fortunately, not going to be able to find more village kills at this moment. We see him poking at the wood line, idling out half of DeMu's economy. This is pretty big.
Yes, combined with the villager kill, idling out this entirety of the initial wood line here for DeMu is pretty significant damage in and of its own. Not only did the villagers go back once, but they then tried to return, but once again are idled out, stalling DeMu's wood. He does have a little bit of a bank already, so it won't hurt him too much initially, but we see 6 cows in ranches and another one by itself, and a third one so far for Liquid DeMu on the Malians here. Another barracks here on the way, more javelins in the queue, and but suddenly behind this, Kiljardi, only with the 5 horsemen and the archers, a complete switch out as the military wing is suddenly on the way for him.
I think this is a genius play. This is what we have been anticipating as well. Going with that early aggression, finding that idle time, pushing on that woodline advantage that you have on this map. Granted, this was probably the idea from the get-go, trying to get that woodline pushed early on because they're so far away from the TCs. He's coming in with more damage, finding more villager kills here, and the military wing will come through. He will get 2 camel riders from that, and while we know that the Malians are really heavy on the cavalry in the mid-game, this could potentially be the key to getting control of that.
Yes, absolutely, and 2 Vil kills here in favor of Kiljardi onto DeMu at this stage in the game, and with the military on the way, like Valdemar mentioned, 2 camel riders, although most effective against cavalry, are still premium castle age units, so without too many Donzos on the field yet for DeMu, this could look to do significant damage here, and a fantastic play by Kiljardi, I must say, idling that woodline, because as we mentioned just in the pre-game, with the small woodlines that are present on this map, it is so easy to force them, the opponent, to bounce from one woodline onto the other repeatedly, and this kind of idle time hurts a lot.
Absolutely, and that is the question again of mobility. That secret stat that we don't talk too often about, but in these high-level games, it is the absolute key that you need to go and cause those 1% advantages. You want them early so that you have that snowball effect, and Kiljardi has found that now he enters the Castle Age. Early pressure into Castle Age is going to give him the ability to get that tech advantage. He's going to get knights, he's going to get archers, he's going to get the veterancy on the archers, he's going to go for probably +2 and composite bows.
Yes, with preservation of knowledge having already been accessed in the feudal age from the culture wing, a lot of these upgrades that Kiljardi is prioritizing are so much cheaper than they normally would be, right? So the economic boost of the culture wing is certainly not something to be ignored here. Camel riders on the way, triple knight in queue for Kiljardi as well. Veterancy on the archers is crucial here, and that is already on the way. 4 more in queue here for Kiljardi, as well as boot camp, a significant upgrade. And with this kind of timing that he is opting for here, I think DeMu might struggle on the defense.
Absolutely, and it is the timing that is what he's going to go for here. I don't think that Kiljardi will actively try to go for the relics early. Kiljardi is going to be all in on this play. We see all of the resources going into military technologies, not economy. He knows that if this game goes long, the Malians will be favored because of the cow boom, granting so much extra economy. Therefore, Kiljardi will look for all of the angles that he can find. We talked about it before, Himeyama being such an open base layout with the the woodlines very far out.
Yes, DeMu notices, is taken, I would assume, slightly by surprise with this Castle Age play here from Kiljardi. Little skirmish coming in here just to feint on the charge from the cavalry of Kiljardi as DeMu's army is forced back into his base. Nice little turnaround, snipes one of the horsemen there with the Donzos. More and more units being queued up for DeMu. He realizes that he can't really afford to greed here for Castle Age, right? He needs to mount a strong defense to be able to hold against this dangerous push by Kiljardi as more and more units streaming forward from either side. Javelin throws, teeing off javelins towards the archers. Many do fall here, and it's currently just a stalemate for now, but Kiljardi does want to be the one on the constant pressure here, and if DeMu is able to hold for a while longer, Kiljardi might be in a bit of danger.
It's very scary for the Abbasid player to take these early fights before he gets the advantage on the units. Now granted, DeMu has got the 19 cows out. He has the full cow set up, and that's going to grant him more food. We can see it on the top left side, almost 1,000 food per minute, and I will bet that there are almost no villagers gathering food at this very moment. Therefore, Kiljardi has to hit his timing very soon.
Yes, and just this passive income from Malians is so powerful, isn't it? As Valdemar mentioned, 1,000 food a minute, and on top of it, almost 1,000 gold per minute as well, compared to Kiljardi's mere 300. This double pit mine passive gold income combined with the large number of villages on it, it is a powerful economy for these Malians here, without a doubt. But, you know, slight slowing down on the unit production for DeMu as he tries to look for his window to edge up, but attack on the north side by Kiljardi as the cavalry charge in. Idle out the wood once more and then go towards the gold. Many villages being forced away here as one did go down. No second bill is about to be picked up. Significant idle time caused, however, but I think Kiljardi will need a fair bit more damage caused here, but still, Liquid DeMu not on the way to Castle Age yet, and this military mass for Kiljardi is only growing at an exponential rate.
Absolutely. We see the +1 ranged attack coming in, and he will be able to start dishing out damage with his archers. We are seeing Castle Age right now from DeMu, he's really on this defense here. He knows that there's an all-in coming, and if he goes too early to Castle Age, he will lose this game pretty much instantly, because that's the go for Kiljardi to go in. He knows that his opponent has spent so many resources on going next stage that if he doesn't go for it right at that moment, he will miss his timing.
And in every game in this kind of a situation, it's such a difficult balance to strike between having enough units to sustain this defense and trying to age up behind it when you're at a tech disadvantage, you know. It's a balance that a lot of players struggle with, and it's significant in a lot of Civilization matchups in Age of Empires for professional play. But this is what we've been waiting for, right? The Mangonel now in play for Kiljardi as he looks to make his grand push. And this Mangonel is crucial, right? This squishy, unarmored infantry mass that DeMu is running is very susceptible to these Mangonel shots, as his entire mass is forced to retreat despite having a significant army lead in terms of raw numbers. This single unit here in the form of the Mangonel is enough to give Kiljardi so much leverage in his angling towards DeMu's base and economy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, DeMu has not got the H-up going through yet, and he will not be able to with this positioning from Kiljardi. Kiljardi is now going to sit on top of this Mangonel, trying to prevent the contact from the melee. Getting some good Mangonel shots here on the Javelins is going to be crucial to dealing with this fight, because he is outnumbered. Villagers being pulled here on the Mangonel. Will they find the pathway here to the Mangor? Is the positioning simply too good in between the buildings here? Fortunately for DeMu, it looks like the Lancer numbers are going down, but still that Mangonel is so difficult to deal with.
Although javelins do counter archers very notably, these aren't normal archers here at all for Kiljardi, as they are composite bows, veteran archers here. With the Mangonel slightly exposed now, but there's no more melee mass for DeMu to deal with. So many villages have went down for him, only 17 villages left for DeMu, and this is looking like a very tough position, as an age behind, these javelins are starting to struggle to dealing with this Archer mass combined with the Mangonel on the back line. It is looking tougher and tougher for DeMu. I think he might actually be out of it very soon at this stage if he doesn't find a solution, but so much of his economy is now gone. There is no hope for him to age up at this stage in time, as at this point, the archer numbers double the javelin count.
Absolutely, we saw it before. He had 200 food left until he could go for the Castle Age. Very difficult timing to deal with for DeMu. And Kiljardi just hitting it perfectly. Here we go. Kiljardi takes the second game, and it's going to be a 1-1 in this best-of-5 winners final.
Flawless execution from Kiljardi here in this game too, I must say. Such a good read on this matchup and on this map in particular. An unorthodox approach here, but it makes so much sense when you see it executed this way, right? Using that little boost in food from the pond, he doesn't mind his age up being delayed a bit and sees no real value with the delay on the military wing initially, right? Opting for the culture wing instead, feinting DeMu. With just a few units, 5 horsemen and 5 archers is all you need to cause some idle time, force out those units and slow down the cow boom of the Malians. And behind it, with the cheaper age up that the Preservation of Knowledge upgrade from the culture wing gives you access to as the Abbasid, military wing comes on the way, and with a fantastic timing on the push, combined with lancers, combined with veteran archers, and finally, the nail in the coffin, the Mangonel, Kiljardi is able to seal a quite decisive victory in this game.
We can see it here on the military value lead. We can see the Castle Age came in for Kiljardi, and that is also when DeMu had more units. Kiljardi had the patience that he needed to drag the game on a little bit longer, waiting for the upgrades, waiting for the units to be able to go for the finishing move. He did not go in too early, and that was the key here. A lot of players that are looking to go for that aggression will find that it's super difficult to find the timing. Kiljardi knows exactly where it's at, and I think, going back to your question before about the approach on this set, timings like this is going to be very strong, because DeMu, being the more meta player, this is where Kiljardi shines.